Here's a case that's probably more common than we know, and it's out of, I think, Ireland. Incest rape horror. Three brothers who subjected their sister to years of sickening sexual assaults are jailed in Ireland for abusing her and their child relatives after being taught to rape by their father. Isn't that how it's been going? Yes, that's kind of the cycle, the typical cycle, actually. The three men face term ranges from 11 to 16 and a half years for the offenses. Do you think this is enough for these crimes right here? Because this one's pretty bad, you guys. So, yeah, heads up, warning, warning. All my stuff is a warning anyway, but y'all know the drill here. Okay, so this is actually one of the cases where I understand where they didn't like out the perpetrators because of the nature of the victims to them, right? This is probably the only time I could ever think of that happening. The other case revolved around them giving a pity party about themselves. It wasn't necessarily about the any family extended anything because there was a lot of people speaking on it before the allegations, by the way. So if they had a problem, they wouldn't have, But I don't know, maybe it was the. I don't think so. It wasn't even brought up in that case. Three men have been jailed in Ireland after subjecting their sister and child relatives to years of sickening sexual assault. The attackers, who have not been named to protect the victims, now face terms ranging from 11 and 16 and a half years after incestuous abuse they learned from their father. Their mother, 64, was jailed on Monday for assisting one of her sons after he raped her granddaughter and for one count of assault on the same child. Their father, 66, was convicted in May as part of the same trial, and his sentencing schedule for today has been adjourned while he is in the hospital. The verdict came after a 3-week trial which heard of the offenses that occurred between 1999 and 2005 around the country. Miss Justice Mary Ellen Ring said the family was ruled by a deviant father figure who abused and mistreated his wife and children, his grandchild, and extended relatives. Like, I'm serious. How many families are like this in America? Probably a shitload. After we've been going through stuff, I was like, oh no. That has to be going on even more often because of certain things, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't want to hear about how y'all got brothers and stuff. Yeah, my brother, yeah, there was some early weird stuff. Like, yeah, it just gets enabled, but not to this extent. She said he relentlessly preyed on family members with violence and deviance. Okay, chillingly, his sons learned to abuse and rape from their father. Exactly. Exactly. A judge somewhere in this world pointed it out, and I'm pointing it out now. And the mom is like the madam. You know what I mean? Like the general, that's kind of like the general setup to this. But then you have some other cases where, like, the mom is the actual perpetrator, but she's becoming that way because of her family and so on and so forth. You know, the cycle there? Yeah, it's still for men because that was the laws for men to rape us all, right? Yawn. And I still get these guys with their bank accounts coming here. Oh my God. Oh my God. Please stop. Okay, the Central Criminal Court in Dublin heard that all five family members maintain their innocence. The unnamed father is currently serving a 16-year prison sentence for sexually abusing his daughter. This is a guy that I'd say don't ever let out because not only that, he taught the sons to then go rape the same victim, right? So the victim is getting abused multiple times by multiple people in which he's supposed to care for them, make sure that they're in a safe thing. So it should have had some additions and then him to never be let out. Like, to be honest, like, this isn't a case that you want that guy. And I mean, he's probably not going to be alive in that 16 years. No. It's a little lenient. For his thing, it's lenient. So she's understood to have fallen pregnant with this child when she was 17. See, that's another addition. That's another addition on top of the incestuous thing, right? So then he was the father, not the grandfather of his daughter's child, right? He and his wife raised the child as their own. Miss Ring and the child involved had their rights to be safe, to be fed, to be educated, to be protected, breached over and over and over again, right? I keep pulling up our child case. It's important because this is the area where it all matters. They lived a very basic and difficult life over the years. Home was often the side of the road. The family were reportedly part of an extended traveler community. I mean, we could take a guess who this is, like what type of thing, you know? Miss Justice Ring said none of the brothers showed remorse for the offenses or empathy for the victims because they're sociopaths, right? So that's what I was saying. I go that is actually from childhood. It's not from getting into an industry and all of a sudden, oh, they just went batshit crazy and started raping everybody because they were just tempted. That's not, you shouldn't be tempted by criminality here, but that's actually from their upbringing. So the focus, again, childhood as soon as possible. But unfortunately, nobody was able to get inside this thing. And I met another family that was fairly similar. That's why I said, I go, no, no, no. And it's like long extended abuses because as they were going on, there was other extended family members that were abusive and then they were abusive. And then all the way, it probably went way back into the 1700s, to be honest with you. So, yeah. You have to really think about all this stuff. It's pretty bad, right? And it's all men. It wasn't just like, oh, the white man, but the white man promoted to harm and human traffic and rape everybody, right? So everybody's doing it. I mean, that's just the thing of the world. They didn't have any respect for women at all. I hate when they come out now acting like, oh, you know what, this is totally serious. And then they all did it, right? So, Miss Justice Ring said none of the brothers showed remorse, right? In May, a complainant, then age 30, testified that while visiting her grandparents in Leinster, she was raped 4 times by 2 of her uncles. Now we got other extended family members, right? Who are defendants in the trial. They're all incestuous, right? They're all sociopaths. Like the entire family is a sociopath. This is created, guys. This isn't a born thing. This is created, and the judge pulled it out. It was learned by the family member, but as you see here, it's like their entire family line. They're a bunch of socios, right? So nobody's gonna come out right. Like, what woman wants to be in this anyway to begin with? But so she said she told, and now the uncles, I don't know if they're on the father's side or the mom's side, but that could explain her if it's like her side uncles or I don't know. It doesn't really say. But she said she told her grandmother about one of the incidents and claimed she was beaten with the stick for lying. See, now again, grandmother's the abuser here too, right? There's nobody in this environment that is sane. They all should be in jail. I don't know. Maybe the grandmother's dead now. I don't know. But every single person, the uncles, the grandmother, any extended person that was part in aiding the situation, because claiming someone's lying is not a defense, okay? You were told something, you got information, so you should have reported it, right? Claiming someone's lying is not a defense. Can we stick with that, guys? Claiming someone's lying is not a defense. Sorry, but it's not. It's been used and it should not be, and that woman should have went to jail too. Grandma. Okay, so she described on another occasion how she was attacked by an uncle as the family stopped to get food from an uncle's van. She said she was told to stay in the van as the others left, and her uncle drove down the road, grabbed her, and threw her in the back of the van where he anally raped her. Yeah, okay, so described another incident of rape, she said, of her uncle. It was just a game to him, and he didn't care. One man, 41, was found guilty of 19 counts of raping his sister, 4 counts of sexually assaulting her, and 3 counts of orally raping her. He was jailed for 15 years. A 40-year-old was found guilty of 20 counts of rape, 5 counts of sexual assault, and 3 counts of oral rape. and he was jailed for 11 years. I mean, these sentences are pretty low for this particular, because if you look at some of these other cases where it's just like a single one-off case, like a stranger thing or something, they'll get probably some nonsense like that, right? This has child abuse, incestuous things, a whole bunch of stuff in this that's, it's like, it's almost like human trafficking your own kid within your family. So it's like an additional factor to it where I think these sentences are too low for these guys because they're socios. They're when they get out, they're not going to change. These ones right here, no, they're straight up. I mean, all of them are anyway that do this stuff, but these guys right here are not actually fixable, not on any level. So as they're saying, they show no remorse. They're not capable of it. So it's not something that they can go into prison and then all of a sudden like get rehabilitated because it's just not there. That's impossible. That doesn't happen. Regardless of what anybody says about that stuff. No. So then, another 39 was found guilty of 20 counts of raping his sister, 4 counts of sexually assaulting her, and 6 counts of oral rape. He was additionally found guilty of 2 counts of anally raping his niece, so now he raped somebody else, and 2 counts of anally raping his male cousin. So he rapes anything, right? What does he get? He gets jailed for 16 and a half years. Do you think that's enough to... I do not. That this guy's not fixable, so when they let him out, he's 39 now, right? 40, almost. He's going to be 56 or 7, if it's somewhere around there, right? And they're going to let him out. Do you think he's not going to do this again? Of course he is. This guy shouldn't be let out ever. Look at it. He raped like multiple people. And a guy. Yes. So that's a little bit lenient here, guys. Mostly on this. So then they go like this. All 3 were noted to have 468 prior convictions between them. I mean, how do you get on like this? Like, mostly for road traffic offenses, right? Because they're travelers. So I'm sure it was probably like, you didn't pay, this, and then here's a ticket, here's a ticket, here's a ticket. They're just socios, right? Because they don't care about anything. Like, it's showing you they don't care about rules and laws, mostly at 468 times. Like, what the hell? I've never read anybody with that many offenses anywhere, but that's in between all 3 of them, so they have 100 and something per person, I guess. The father has been found guilty of 24 charges, including 2 charges of anally raping his granddaughter and 22 charges against a nephew. Yes, so the father rapes anything as well, right? And again, so he only got, I guess he got 16, or they didn't say on this, but it says these include 12 charges of anal rape and 10 charges of oral. The court also heard, he also has 185 previous convictions, including 99 for sexual abuse of 2 of his daughters. So he got 99 convictions prior? Could somebody explain this? What in the hell is going on over there in Ireland? I was saying that they kept trying to talk about how great they are to raising kids and everything. I go, that's bullshit. I go, if you still have a high count of rapists there and all this other conduct, your parenting still sucks, right? Sorry, guys, but it still sucks. Regardless if you're religious or not, you still kept that shit up in there. So, yeah, I was, like, pointing out these, they like to talk about their areas much better than somewhere else, and you'll go through it, and they're like, yeah, it's a really great place for women. And I was like, well, let me see your rape stats. That's what I want to see, because that's how that's exactly how you know if it's a good place to live or not. And there literally is nowhere, really. So, but, yeah, that was one of the places, I believe. The mother was sentenced to 4 years. In her judgment, Ms. Justice Ring noted that she was the victim of physical and sexual assault at the hands of her husband. She had no prior convictions. Yeah, so she's the only one that didn't have like a million things on her. However, she stayed in it, and, you aid in it, and you could still be a victim to the perpetrator, but you didn't protect your kids. Like, what the hell is that? Who the hell's going to save some guy that rapes your own daughter and then you guys are raising it together? This crap. I don't want to hear this like I'm too weak crap to get out of it, because this crap right here was so bad that it's like I would run away. I mean, this is like horrifically bad, like to the point where it's like I don't even care if I freaking died. You know what I mean? Because with your own kid, you think that you'd why? How could you still be with this guy, right? I love him, you know. Yeah, but this whole family, the entire family, but their mom, I don't know whose mother's what in this, who beat who, but the mom, I mean, if it's her mom, then she totally abused the kid anyway. There was nowhere to go. That was the same thing in our family where I was like, I'm trying to tell my parents, I go, Grandma here did this. They're like, don't you ever say anything bad about her. It's not even that they didn't believe it. Like, they totally knew she was terrible. It was like, don't ever say anything bad about her. We don't want to hear it. Don't talk bad about anything that she does. And it's like, oh, hell no. And then they wanted to leave me with her alone and did these horrible things. And then were threatening to leave me there again alone with her when they came to visit. It was a bizarre thing. They like flew me out to San Diego alone on a plane. And then I get stuck in, Hoity Town up in there. And then she went to Abuse Town, man. It was like Abuse City because nobody's around, right? And she did it even when they were around. Um, but nobody was around. And then she's like starving me to death, right? And so then, my parents come like, I don't know, a couple weeks later in the summer, and then they drove out. So they drove out, and then they came and they're like, oh, we should just leave her here for a couple more weeks after like I'm like bone like I'm totally thin now, and they don't even care. They think it's the most wonderful thing ever. And then I was like, no way. Because number one, I'm not getting back on a plane. Like I had enough of the plane thing, I think, at that moment. And then I said, no, you're not leaving me here. Nuh-uh. And then they take me back, right? But they were like threatening to leave me there, like on purpose, to be tormenting. And they knew that she totally abused the crap out of me that whole time. They did it on purpose. It was almost like sending you off to a military school. Like they knew like that. It was evil, dude. And she should have been in jail big time. You cannot go starving kids and doing whatever the hell else she did that would probably be considered sexual abuse. Shaking and crying as she was like scrubbing off my skin until I was like all bloody in the bathtub and I was all naked and shit. So to me, I look at that as kind of a sexual abuse. Like it's kind of disgusting. I'm like, why is she even in there anyway to begin with? Because when I'm thinking about this, I was like, I was not that young to where I can't take a bath on my own. Like, what is that? Yeah, like she's just like, you're all filthy, like doing this shit, right? Yeah, stuff like that. That's why we're talking about it because that shit might have happened to you guys and you're just not associating it with, that type of thing. I was like, yeah, yeah, no, no. Yeah, they're like, throw away the key. Appalling sentences. What the heck have I just read? Okay, it said should be whole life sentences as this is normal behavior to them, so they will always be a danger to people around them. Exactly, yes. Well, any rapist, yes, any rapist, but these in particular, yeah. I mean, this the addition here is that like even no, I mean, so far what we're finding out, I don't even want to say only these types, because what we're finding out is these typical rapists that we're pulling out, right? Like the Steve Tyler, all these other people, right? We're finding out inside the family unit that they're actually being sexually abusive to their own sons and daughters at home too. So, was there ever a line between that? I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I think it's been a thing where it's just acceptable and they're just like, oh, the brothers are just being guys, doing this bullshit, right? Because it's like you're a rapist. So if you're a rapist, why would you have any specific line drawn? Like I wouldn't do this to my own kids. It's like, no, they literally, and I can tell you on another case that somebody put their own kids in danger with another perpetrator that they knew it in public, and I'm totally appalled by it. It was one of those cases where I was like, I have to say something. It wasn't, oh, I need to protect so and so. It's like I couldn't, and I had to say something, and then I finally say something, and then their whole team goes in a cover-up mode. I'm like, oh, no way, dude. And so no, yes, they did put their kids in danger. Yes. So as I'm saying, as we're going through these cases, as we've been for years and years and years, we're finding out that the incestuous part is just part of them being rapists. It's not, it's a hate crime, right? As the victim's saying, they just did it for the fun of it, right? So even in school, when and they keep saying everything's a joke, right? Me raping you is just a joke. Like, that's the mentality. That really is the mentality. It's like, it's not sexual to me. Yeah, because it's not about sex, right? It's about power and abuse and everything else, right? So, yeah, we're finding that out. They don't like it. But basically, if you're a rapist, your parents are probably totally rapists and they probably molested the crap out of you, you know? As we pulled up in the Spacey thing, too. Like, that was one of the more known ones with that conduct going on. And now we got Russell Brand, right? His dad is disgusting. The same, it was like the same story, right? And I go, see, they're both like general rapists. Like, they just go around doing this stuff to everybody because the dad basically taught them to be a sociopath rapist. Like, they grew up into that. And so they just rape everything, right? They don't care, because the dad, did some horrible things there. Yeah. So basically, you could find out about their past by their actions and what they did to us, right? Or anybody else, any other victim out here. And in that other story that they won't out people, as like that other story, is same dynamic. It was actually really interesting, and I was saying it's actually really important, I think, for the public to hear those stories because you're going to see the full picture. Everything that I'm talking about, I stand by everything that I've researched on this stuff. Um, it's just one of those things where it comes in steps and it's from a lot of stories and you go through them and you go through them and you go through them and it's like, oh, that's the same. Oh, now we found out more stuff. Oh, that's actually in that other case. It's that. And most people do not spend a lot of time researching that stuff. So people act like they know enough about this stuff to talk about and they actually don't. I'm not going to say I know everything about it, but I do know quite a bit for different reasons, from different aspects of this thing. And yes, so I stand by that. And we're going to start pointing it out on every story that comes around. Whether I'm paid or not, or if they try to silence me or whatever, we're going to still do things on it. Even if it be on a podcast or whatever. I want to look into that because I would like to have my own little thing like that. I was looking at it a while back, and then I have a lot of other things going on right now, so maybe in the next year could transition over to something like that. We're looking into it. This platform here is not really great because they cater to these men. They straight up cater to these men. And that is and they do a lot of things to put us down on here to not be heard, and I think that's disgusting, and that's been their conduct since day one.